Good afternoon, everybody. We're just getting ready to start the My World Technical webinar. Okay, great. I think we're ready to get started. Bear with us for just one moment. There's still a lot of people signing on. We had about 60 people register for this webinar. And just as word of introduction, this webinar is intended for people who have already registered as My World Partners, or people who are thinking about registering as My World Partners and who are planning how their campaign to get started with their campaign. It's quite a technical webinar, as the name suggests. So we're assuming if you've come to this call, you already know about My World. You've had a chance to learn about what that means, and we're going to get more into the details about how to get going with My World. Shall we wait a few minutes still? Okay, and just before we get into the presentation, I think it would be nice to introduce everybody who's in the room here from our team from the SDG Action Campaign in Bonn. I'll just go around the room, and maybe first I'll introduce Gayan, who's going to be giving the presentation today. Gayan Peiris is our digital strategy specialist with the SDG Action Campaign.
Hello everyone, I'll introduce myself when it comes to my part, so I'll allow the others to introduce themselves. We have Gayan from my team.
Hello, I'm Gayan, and I work with Gayan as a data analysis and data visualization intern. And we have Paula.
Hello, it's me, Paula. I'm from partnership. I'm working with Laura as an intern. And Sarah.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah, and some of you might know me because I've sent you your partner ID link, so whenever you have a problem with that, you might get a mail from me. Great to have you.
Yeah, so the idea is just to help to get you to know some of the people who are here supporting you. You'll be getting emails from different people on the team. There's a whole team of us, not just in Bonn, some people based in regions and based in New York City who are behind this My World project and who are here to support partners. As you know, we have a support email, which is support at instead of necessarily trying to learn who each of us is. And I think now, without further ado, we can turn it over to Gayan to start walking you through the presentation. There will be a chance for questions at the end, and also if you have questions throughout the presentation, you can raise your hand through the chat bar in your webinar application, and you can also have the chance to type your message in there if you prefer to type your question. So Gayan, it's all up to you.
Thank you, Laura. Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Gayan Peiris, and I'm the digital strategist of the campaign, and I manage the technical backend of My World. And just a few things before I go into my presentation. We will give you a chance to ask questions. There is a raise your hand feature. You will see a little hand icon in GoToMeeting. So if you want to ask a question, please feel free to raise your hand, and my team here will unmute you. By default, you're on mute. My team will unmute you so you can raise your question. There's another way to send your questions. That is through the questions box. On GoToMeeting, you can type in your question, and someone here will read out the question, and I will answer that. And there's another way to send your questions after the webinar. If you forget to ask during the webinar, That is through our support email address, which Laura just mentioned, support@sdgactioncampaign.org. It's support@sdgactioncampaign.org. Now with that, I'll go into my presentation. Although this is a technical webinar, although I have a PowerPoint presentation, most of the things that I show on this webinar will be online, and I will actually show you how to do certain things. And I would like you to follow me on this as well. If you're sitting in front of your computer, please feel free to go online and try with me certain things, so you get used to doing this. I hope everyone can see my screen. If you're having trouble seeing my screen or hearing me, if I break at some point, please feel free to let my team know using the chat window. The question window is, first of all, describe the technology behind my world and how it can be effectively used. Then I would go into how to use partner IDs and user IDs in the URL. Then about creating custom look and feel for the community survey and how to share the survey on websites and social media. How to access voting data for analysis, and also the visualizations we have already developed. And we will spend some time on question and answers at the end of this webinar. First is technology. So the current My World, some of you may have worked with My World 2015, and you may already know me through My World 2015 as well. It was running on a different technology, but the current My World is running on a Google Progressive Web App. There are a couple of reasons for going in this direction. One is it's really reliable. It loads instantly. So it does some heavy caching, so you don't need high-speed internet connections. It's really fast, quickly responds to user interactions, and even though it's a website, it acts like a real app. So the transitions are really smooth, and it's engaging, and it feels like an app. It feels like, even though you're on a computer, it feels like you're using an app. And the data we collect, the whole package, is running on Google's European cloud. I think that's very important to mention as well, because I know some of you have concerns about where we store the data. And also data, we are making data available, but no personal information is ever being made publicly available. In fact, if you notice in the online survey, we are not collecting any personal information where the vote or the survey response can be associated to a certain specific person. And when you vote and when you go to the thank you page, people have the option, this is not mandatory, people have the option of leaving their username, their email address, and their name, which is stored differently from the survey data for obvious reasons. We are not associating personal information with the survey information. We make the survey information available publicly. Data is available in a public CSV file. I'll come to that in my presentation. And if you want to learn more about Google Progressive Web Apps and what it can do, there is a link in my presentation, but if you just Google for Google Progressive Web Apps, you'll find it. And with that comes the capability to open up an API, to do big queries, to open big tables, if you know what I'm talking about in terms of data. So this opens up a whole new area where we can play around with data. So partner ID and user ID. Even though I have a presentation, like I said, I'm going to go into my web browser and show you certain things. But before I go, I want you to remember this URL. It's about.myworld2030.org. Everything that we do will be available here. It's about, again, not www, no www, about.myworld2030.org. And on this site, we will be featuring what we do, and you will have all the resources you need to do the task that you do as a partner. So as you know, first thing is if you're a partner, you register as a partner, and my colleagues here approve your partner requests depending on a certain criteria. And once you're approved, you have several things that you can do as a partner. That is, you get a partner ID, which is about 10 to 12 characters, alphanumeric characters, no special characters in there, because you will be using this partner ID in URLs, and we don't want special characters to mess up your voting data. So it has to be really simple, identifiable, at the same time, not too long, just 10 or maximum 12 alphanumeric characters. So once you get this partner ID, it's basically like getting a referral ID where you can collect votes. Some of you have done this in the past with My World 2015. The votes that you collect, the survey responses that you collect, will be recorded in the database with this partner ID. So for example, if I register as SDG Action Campaign as a partner, then I would get SDG Action Campaign partner ID. And if people use my URL, my custom URL, all votes coming in through that URL will be recorded with your partner ID. And when we do analysis, a lot of our partners during big events, including the General Assembly, those who brought in a lot of votes from certain countries, and those who went to difficult countries and brought in votes, who really put their heart out there to get the votes from people. And again, I'm going back to my PowerPoint. How the partner ID works is once you receive the partner ID from us, once you register and you receive the partner ID from us, it works like myworld2030.org/partner. It's very important you add this piece called /partner //SDG Action, which is my partner ID in this case. I will get to the user ID in a minute. This Gayan is my user ID, but I'll get to that in a minute. For the moment, I'm going to only talk about the partner ID. So if someone brings in votes through this partner ID, it will be recorded as coming in through partner ID. So I'm going to try the URL I just showed you. So it will be something like this. Hope you can see Google Chrome browser I have opened. If you can't see it, please let us know on the chat window. So I'm using my partner ID. You can see I get to the survey and the partner ID is in the URL. And because of that, anyone who fills in this survey, their vote is recorded with your partner ID. So in the database, we can go in quickly and we can check the partner IDs. And what the user ID means is, let's say I'm the SDG Action Campaign, I'm the partner. I can register my colleagues who go into the field or who are willing to share this link to have their own personal ID, so we can track out of from the partner, from SDG Action Campaign, here are the people who collected the votes. Again, this is not the people who responded to the votes, this is people who collected the votes, meaning people who shared the link, who are the influencers. So it's basically like a referral program once again, where you have your users, your campaigners will have your own ID. So in this case, my user ID will be Gayan. So it's added. Remember the URL partner SDG Action / important you have this thing called partner, myworld2030.org/partner. Now, I think someone is trying to okay. Yes, so you can see the URL, and if someone votes, if let's say I share this URL on social media, or responses, those 1,000 responses will be recorded against this my ID, which is Gayan. So SDG Action Campaign can track how many they have brought as an organization or as a unit, but also they can individually track who has brought in most number of votes or most number of responses. Now, that's simply how you would use your partner ID. And you just, if you don't have a user ID, if you don't want to use user IDs, you can simply use partner IDs without the user IDs. So I would simply copy paste this and share it in my Facebook or Twitter or anything any social media that I have. The next thing I'm going to talk about is slightly customizing the page to have your own look and feel. What we have done is, with a bit of help from the development team, from my team, meaning if you go into extensive customization, that would mean there'll be a cost involved because we have to get the developers involved. But if it is simply going for a custom URL, then we could help you with that. You can bring in a certain amount of votes for or responses for us to go into that extent of creating a custom URL for you, which automatically collects, which automatically has your partner ID in it. I'm going to show you two examples where we have done some customization, and also I'm going to talk about how we can go further as well. One example is bhutan.myworld2030.org. Something we did for Bhutan. You can see the whole look and feel is changed, but it's the same survey. The button is red to match the big image you have in the header, but it's the same survey basically. So if you're a partner, I'll take something that comes to my mind. I'm not being specific. Let's say Coca-Cola, for example. You can have your own header image here with a little bit of color customization, where the survey completely looks like a different survey, but it's the same survey with your own branding in it. Now the question is, how do I do that? So if you want to do that, then you need to make a strong case on why you want to do that, and if you let us know, then my development team can help to get this done. And also you would need to make a commitment in that case that because we are spending time and budget here to develop this, you would need to bring in a certain number of votes or certain number of responses to do that. Also, you can go into the level of extensive customization. I'm going to show another example. We are working with ASEAN to have this survey running for the ASEAN member states, and they have a custom question there as well. Are you aware of the ASEAN Community Vision 2025? And then the regular questions of our My World survey. So you could go into this level of customization as well. Again, that will cost a little bit of money, because if you know the technical development behind it, this will require a little bit of development. It's not a straightforward customization. So, and also the moment you introduce a new question, you're talking about analyzing them and visualizing them as well. So if you want to go into this extent, again, get in touch with the team. We can discuss, we can come up with a plan on how to do that. Also, you see, we still, but if ASEAN, let's say, want to have their own URL, ASEAN, myasean.org, for example, I'm taking an example, then that is possible as well. It's a simple URL mapping to My World, and also will carry the partner ID in that case. So anyone coming from that URL will automatically have the partner ID as ASEAN, for example. So we can track those votes or responses in the database. So that's about it on customizations. Again, please try to follow me if possible. You can have these own URLs on you can try these URLs on your browser and see how it looks. And next I'm going to go into embed codes. So this is a tricky one, because embeds are always tricky. The moment you embed My World on into something, what's going to happen is you're totally dependent on your code, on JavaScripts and other things that you have in your site as well. So there is a good chance that these may conflict with My World embed. Again, if you remember the site I told you about, .myworld2030.org, if you go into resources section, there's a whole bunch of resources available here. One of them is the embed code for My World. I think we've removed the embed code from here because we had a small problem. Like I said, only on iPhones, sometimes the embed doesn't function properly because of some security reasons. They don't allow embeds. In those cases, we can work in cases that it doesn't work. So get in touch with us again using the support email address. We will work with you on a workaround to achieve the same goal. I will give you an example of that. We recently worked with UNDP Sweden to have the My World survey on their website. So I'm going to go into the UNDP Sweden, how they have done this. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to locate the link for this. Okay, one thing I want you to note here is this language variable. So what UNDP Sweden is, they are sending them users to the English version, but you can switch the language as well through the URL. So if I break down this URL, it's going to My World, it's going to /partner, and the partner code is UNDP Sweden, which is UNDPSWE, that's their code, and they are setting the language automatically for users as well. That's lang equals en. I'm going to show you how to switch this automatically. So I'm going to switch it to ES, which is the ISO code for Spanish. So you can see if the moment I change the language, it switches to Spanish. If I want to, I'll go to one of these languages, French, for example. is FR. The ISO language code, it switches to French. So you can switch the language as well, depending on the URL that you use. You just simply changing a parameter in the URL. So for those cases where the embed doesn't work, embed is simply, you can iframe this into your website. You can iframe this URL into your website. For those cases where the iframe doesn't work, I'm going to show you really quickly how to do this. For those cases where the iframe doesn't work, we have a mechanism where you can link it from your site. Let's say, for example, you have a banner. You could create a small banner. I'll take you to some of the design resources as well. From this banner, you link to My World, and after voting, you can bring the user back to your site. We have a mechanism to do that. That is, if you want to do that, let us know. We need to enable that from the backend for your site. But there is a mechanism. So from a link, you would send people here to this My World site, and after voting, instead of getting the thank you page, they'll be redirected back to your site. So the whole user experience is seamless. Cases where the simple embed doesn't work. And we have come across certain cases because of the security issues of new releases of Apple's new iOS, or it could be related to JavaScript in your website, which is clashing with My World. Now, how to share this on social media? I'm going to copy this URL, and I'm going to go into Facebook. And remember, I'm not simply copying My World URL. I'm copying the My World URL with the partner code, which is UNDP Sweden in this case, and the language, which is FR, which is French. So I'm copying the entire URL, going to Facebook, and I'm going to simply post it. And we have designed a card, so Facebook will automatically pull the image from My World and create a nice graphic for you when you share it on Facebook. Now see, the URL contains all the parameters. So when I share this on Facebook, anyone who clicks this will go into the site with my partner ID and with my language code as well. So the language will be automatically switched for them, and it carries the partner ID. And same can be applied for use IDs as well. So if you have a use ID here, for example, I would have /Gayan, same thing. And now, if you see, I have added Gayan to the URL after the partner ID. The key is after the partner ID. If you add it before the partner ID, Gayan will be taken as the partner ID. So after the partner ID, you add the use ID, and now this vote will be recorded with my name, with my use ID. So you, as a partner, can track who of your campaigners have brought in the most number of votes, for example. So again, I'm emphasizing here, we are not tracking the user. Remember, we are not tracking the person who responds. That information is anonymous. It's kept that way. We are tracking who influenced the user to get that vote or get that response. So we can properly recognize the partners. We can properly recognize the users who are doing the job. Now there are several other ways to share the webinar as well. So again, going back to my presentation, the URL to remember is about.myworld2030.org. So I'm going to go there. Whenever I'm in trouble, I go to about.myworld2030. there are a bunch of design resources there. So if you click on My World Design Resources, which is the fourth box, there are a lot of design resources in here. I'm going to use one of them. If you click on social media messages, here are some canned messages that you can tweet about. But I'm going to do something a little interesting than that. That is, I'm going to get one of these images, which is really interesting. Did you know that 46,000 pieces of plastic float in the ocean? I just downloaded that, and I'm going to bring this to the desktop so I'm going to go into my Twitter account. I'm going to create a tweet. I'm going to add that image. Here's the key. Now I have the image, but the URL I'll be sharing is not the simple My World URL. I'm going to share the URL with the Sweden partner code. So, or even better, I'm going to add my user ID there as well. So anyone who clicks this link just tweeted about it, and anyone who clicks the link will carry my partner ID and the user ID. So there you go. This is an interesting tweet. It grabs the attention straight away, and this way you can bring in users into, and ideally this is just information. Did you know that? But ideally it should be some actionable work that you use. Did you know that 46,000 pieces of plastic float in the ocean per square mile? Here's your chance to let the world leaders know that you care about it. Have your say. Go to My World and vote or something like that. So the action is very clear. The message is we need to get rid of plastic. How to do that is influence. You go into My World. You have your say. You let the United Nations and your leaders know that this is important to share the link. Now, with that, I'm going to go into the voting data. So again, remember the URL. Everything happens here, about.myworld2030.org. If you go here, go into resources. Right at the bottom, there's a link for My World data. By the way, there's also a link for My World webinars, where this webinar will be available later if you want to refer something. So the data is available as in comma separated values, the CSV format. So also I have to mention there is a delay of 15 minutes after you vote, 15 minutes, 1-5. So when someone votes or when someone sends a response to the survey, it is sent into the table, into the record table. And from the record table, there's an automatic job that writes to this data set. So that automatic job runs every 15 minutes. So don't be surprised, like don't think it's an error if you don't see don't see your vote right away. It takes 15 minutes for your vote to appear in My World data. So I click here and it downloads the CSV file for me. I open it. My Excel is a little slow because I'm on a Mac, bear with me. There you go. So you see all the votes here. And again, if you go to resources, this is the place I go whenever I need help. I go to collect votes on a paper, or if I download any of these, even a translation, for example. All of these are these fields are explained. No, I'll go to the offline data format, which is So you can download the offline format here and upload it on the website, but what I'm looking for is the offline template, which is this one. So in the template, there is an explanation about each of these fields, like what the question is, question 1 is, and it should be a yes/no answer. Is it mandatory? Yes. And question 2, Q2 goal, that is the second question is asking which goal is more important to you, and you can select 6. So it's when I go here, I see you see bunch of ones and zeros. That's exactly what that means. So this particular vote, I know it's a female. No, this person is from Mexico, 25 years of age, and that 4 here is probably the education level. And again, if you go back to the template, I can see number 4 in education level is beyond secondary. There you go. So this is data in raw format, but you can do all sorts of analysis with it. If you simply load this up in Excel and convert it into Excel format, if you import it into Excel format, you can do basic analysis. But if you want to go further, that's my next slide actually, to do visualizations using this data set. So we have 2 types of visualizations right now. One is data.myworld2030.org, which is right now in beta, but it will be released as a production version hopefully by the General Assembly this year. And you can see you can filter by partner. So all these votes can be filtered by a partner, and this is where your partner ID is important. I'm not going to filter right now because there's not many partners I can play with here, which has a lot of data. So you can filter by partner, and then these visualizations show how goal number 5, which is gender equality, is 4th among women, it's 9th among men, and 2nd among other, and you get the idea. How we have done these visualizations is we've taken that CSV file I showed you. We have a partnership with Tableau. It's called Tableau. I'll show you their logo, so you'll recognize it's that Tableau. Their Tableau Public is a free version, so you can do your analysis using Tableau Public if you want to. All these cool visualizations are created using Tableau Public. And the other cool thing about this visualization is you can actually share this visualization on social media. So you can create a story and share the current view. See here, the current view and the original view. If I go to original view, it will show without the field. It is 9th among men. There's a story there. So I would go into, and also I can filter by country or HDI group, say high human development. Gender equality is 10th among men. So I want to share this story on social media. I would go to current view, and I would click on the Twitter link, and I'm going to say, did you know gender equality is 10th in high HDI countries? So I can create a story using these visualizations and simply tweet. And that's the beauty of using something like Tableau. And because data is public, because data is available, you can use your own tools to visualize data, analyze data, and we would love to see what you have done with the data set we have. So please feel free to share with us. We might be able to even offer you ideas or connect you with someone where you can enhance your visualization. So please feel free to share whatever you do, even if it is small. And even if you find a story within this data, please feel free to share with us. So this is one visualization we have. We have gone into further visualizations here. I'll show you one more visualization. Again on the About site. Basic demographics of people who have voted. Again, this is done using Tableau. So once you have the data available, you can do anything with it. You can do all sorts of analysis. So feel free to use any tool that you prefer. But if you're using Tableau, let us know, because we have a partnership with them and we might be able to help you in certain ways. And we will have data challenges, like we will package some of the data that we have and we'll open it up for challenges where you as partners can come up with different visualizations, and these visualizations, if they really create a story, we can show these visualizations in different events, including the General Assembly, and give you credit for that. And we have done that in the past with My World 2015 as well. So with that, we go into the Q&A section. Again, two things I need to emphasize. One is the site. Always remember the site is about.myworld2030.org. I think I've mentioned this about 10 times in the presentation, because this is where everything will go. So if you're looking for the template, if you're looking for the embed, if you're looking for the data, that is the place to go, about.myworld2030.org. And when you go there, if you have a question, the email to use is support@sdgactioncampaign.org. Remember, it's not support@myworld. Probably we should create support@myworld at some point. But right now it's support@sdgactioncampaign.org. It's support@sdgactioncampaign.org. So feel free to write to that, any questions you have, and we are here to help you. We'll be happy to work with you to create your own campaign, create your own partner site. So with that, we will go into Q&A. I don't know how many questions we have, but we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so hello everyone. If you have any questions, remember you can type them to us, or you can raise your arm and then we will give you the right to speak. At the moment we have someone who has sent some questions already. The first would be from Salma from Jordan. Mm-hmm. She asked that she created a user ID for one of her members, okay, but it doesn't work. The user ID she has created is /partner/Salijo/Ruba1.
Okay.
Do you know what might be the problem?
Okay, I can check that for you. What you have used is correct. So Salijo will be the partner ID and Ruba1 will be the user ID. And we can check in the data if this has gone in. Otherwise, I mean, if for some reason, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't work. For some reason, if it is not there, then we don't worry, because still we are recording the URL that the user comes in as well. So we can somehow track that in our database and put it in the right place. So if you have used that, I will check now, and I'm going to check really quickly if that is available here.
Yes. Okay, so while Gayan checks this, Laura can ask another can answer another question, which is, Salma also has created a Facebook page which she would promote at as My World Jordan. Is there a possibility to have this publicly supported by us to gain more users and to gather more likes?
It's a very good question. Thank you, Salma. One of the things that we are working on right now is to gather and produce a few more materials to support the My World partners. And some of those include Facebook and Twitter images and messages that you can use to reach out to your online audience. Gayan gave an example of how you would do that using your partner ID, taking one of the images from our Trello board. And as you mentioned, the image was about oceans and Oceans Day and for the Global Oceans Conference this year. But we're customizing some banners for you to use for your online outreach. Also, we're planning to hold our next webinar, or one of our next webinars in the next few weeks, with our communications specialist, Tina, who I think she's not on the line, and she's planning to give a lot of tips about how to use your social media spaces more effectively for your online outreach for My World. In addition, we have some events coming up, and we're looking regional event in Jordan in the fall, in October. And for that regional event, we'll be trying to mobilize partners across the Arab States region to get My World votes into the system. So part of this will be reaching out to some of our UN offices to encourage them to also support anybody who's supporting My World. So when we do that, we reach out to our colleagues in the UN and we give them the names of some of the partners that we have who are already registered and doing their best to reach out from their networks to support the My World survey, to get responses to the survey. So what I'm proposing then is that we can help you in a couple of ways. We will help you by providing you with some of the image files, some of the suggested text for outreach, as well as a webinar dedicated to the topic. But then we're also looking to link partners across the region so that you know about each other and you can be supporting each other, including linking you to the UN system.
Thank you, Laura. Then Sana has another question, but first I'm going to give the speaking rights to, and I hope I'm pronouncing this name right, Abubakar. Abubakar.
Just one moment, we're still on mute.
Right click on it. I think he has put himself on mute, so.
Oh. Abubakar, if you can try to unmute your mic.
Mute request to Abubakar, if you can unmute your mic.
Oh, and the questions are pouring in the meantime in the chat window. So should we go to one of the...
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're gonna go back to the question that were written. Abubakar, if you fix your microphone, please feel free to shout out or write your question also in the chat group. Then Water Warm asks, how do I find my partner ID on the data Excel?
Yes, so it is available. If you go into the CSV file, the partner ID is available here.
Hello.
Oh,
hello.
We have, hello.
Hi.
Yes, I'm Abubakar Luge from Burkina. My question is, this session, this webinar, can we have it in French?
Thanks for that suggestion. I would love to do that. I'm not a native French speaker and I don't speak French. I would get help from my colleague Laura here, probably to do the whole webinar in French. What we will try to do though is try to dub this, not dub, have subtitles of the webinar in French if possible, if that helps.
Okay. Okay, okay.
Abubakar, thank you for your question. It came up the last time as well. We had several partners from West Africa who were asking for French. Je ferai mon meilleur. Je vais faire un webinaire dans quelques semaines en français. Mon français est un peu pas très bon. Ça fait des années que je ne sais pas parler, mais je vais faire un effort.
Ok, parce que je continue en français. Et ici, je suis le coordinateur général de la Coordination nationale des jeunes pour l'environnement et le climat. Et nous sommes en partenariat avec le système des Nations Unies au Burkina. Et nous menons beaucoup d'actions dans les domaines des objectifs de développement durable. Et il est assez intéressant qu'on puisse vraiment communiquer bien autour de ça. Et il serait beaucoup intéressant qu'on puisse avoir ce webinaire en français. Donc, c'est ce que je voulais dire, quoi.
Oui, merci beaucoup. On va le faire.
Okay.
Je le promets.
Ok, merci.
Thank you. So,
Great. So the next question.
someone was asking how to find the partner ID in the Excel sheet. So if you scan through the data, like this My Mexico is, for example, a partner ID of one of our partners, so it's there. So it's, I know it looks like the matrix here, but but if you load this up in Excel properly, it will show up the partner ID as well. And here you see My Mexico, then Mission Planeta is the user ID in this case.
You can probably also just use the normal search function of Excel.
Yeah. Now I've loaded this as a CSV, comma separated. Have the fields in proper format. It cannot offer it in Excel because Excel is Microsoft specific, so we want to remain platform independent. So we are offering the data set in CSV format for anyone who wants, and Excel has an easy way to import a CSV file. Want to do it. In fact, it's file import then the Excel file, the CSV file. There you go. So if you're still looking at my screen, I can import this really quickly because it's a huge file. It might take some time on my my Mac. Possible. So if you do it like that, you will be able to see the partner ID and the user ID if you want.
Great. Then in regards to the user ID, our next question from Luz Maria, it's how many user ID can we create for each partner ID?
There's no limit. There's no limit to that. So you can, again, there's no form or anything to create user ID, so you can simply issue your, if you want thousands of user IDs to your users, but just keep in mind not to use any special characters. Make sure it's 10 to 12 maximum of alphanumeric, no special characters, so when it goes to the database it doesn't look jumbled or garbled. And also sometimes these special characters break the URL as well. And we will create a system. In fact, as we speak, the developers are working on it for you to have your partner area on the site, and where you can create these, you can keep track of these user IDs you have issued, and at the same time do some analysis using who has brought in certain votes as well.
Okay, next we have a question from Olivier, and afterwards I'm going to open the microphone for Spend Camille. I'm really sorry for my pronunciation, so prepare yourself. But first, Olivier asks, what is the difference between the My World 2030 and the SDG in Action app?
SDGs in Action. Well,
The Global Goals app.
Oh, it's the Global Goals app. Okay. So it's a tough question, honestly, but
Let me take it?
yeah.
Okay, so the Global Goals app, SDG in Action app, was created by the Global Goals to help raise awareness of the Global Goals, and it is a place where you can track your SDGs. We're linked to them. They're partners in promoting the SDGs. Within My World, we're really focused on the survey. And so when you're a My World partner, a major thing that you're doing is going out to collect votes for the My World survey. So they're linked in that they're both UN-based initiatives promoting the SDGs. We're not linked at all. And we're the voting platform, and so are the visualization platforms at this point, and they're both assets or products of the SDG Action Campaign.
Hey, I hope this answers this question. Now I've opened the mic for, forgive my German accent, Sprint.
You're very close and very good. This is Spend. This is Spend from Pristina, Kosovo. I was wondering, we actually created also a partner ID, and we also used the template for languages to translate into Albanian. And I think my colleagues from Serbia as well also translated into Serbian, but I still don't see these two languages into drop-down list. I'm asking this question, but potentially because we have, at the end of next week, we have a very big outreach activity in a film festival in one of the cities here in Kosovo, where we are going to engage a lot with citizens and collect a lot of votes, and having these two languages up on My World survey before that will really make a great difference in a number of votes collected. So is there any hope of doing this faster? I know that it's technically probably a nightmare for you guys having a lot of requests like this.
No, it's actually, we are thrilled to have it. My promise here during the webinar, and this is recorded by the way, is to have that up hopefully by tomorrow. So I'll send you a link.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
If I can just add to that, I think I remember seeing the Albanian language file, but I don't remember seeing the Serbian language file. Do you remember seeing that? We just have to check. We'll check carefully through everything that's been sent to us, but if it's easy for you to resend it, please do. I don't remember seeing Serbian, and we were.
No, I only have the Albanian version because this is what we did. This is what we did. Okay. One of our colleagues told us that the colleagues from Serbia are actually doing the Serbian translation, so we haven't had any communications with them. I don't know about that part. I know about our part, and at least Albanian would help.
But this is exactly the kind of thing we're here to do. So, you know, when you host your event, it doesn't take us long to add the language files. We're here to help, and don't feel like you're bothering us. It's quite the opposite. You are going and getting votes. You're doing outreach on behalf of My World. We're indebted to you for doing that. We really want to help. We want to help promote your effort, and thank you very much. Please do reach out. Tell us it's urgent, because it's the smallest thing we can do to help you get on your way and get votes in your language. It's really important to us.
That will be all from my side. Thank you very much for the response.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Okay, so then we have a question from Steve Lee. He asked, Gayan, could you explain more on the 100+ questionnaire bank to create a locally customized survey?
Okay, I didn't touch on that on this webinar for a reason, because we are going to have a follow-up webinar on that very specifically, but we recently did a test run, or we field tested this question bank of 90+ questions, partnering with Paragon, and the results you see these tabs. I'll go into the. So with Paragon, we field tested about how many questions do you remember? 18, right? Paragon?
Countries or
no,
questions?
The questions. 17 or 18 questions from the question library.
20 it says.
All right, 20 questions, okay. And there were questions on overall SDGs, then how often have you had any problem accessing the internet at home? And we try to visualize that as well. So those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about here, so all this time we were talking about My World community version, what you see on when you go to My World. But there is also a My World scientific version, and we will follow up with a webinar on that. What that is it's a scientific survey. We have about 90 plus, close to 100 questions on different goals, and you see some of these questions. They really go into the details about certain goals, and you can pick and choose the questions you want and come up with a methodology to go about it, and we can help you with putting the survey together, and also once you get the data, probably visualizing them as well.
And I think Steve and I are actually going to have a follow-up phone call in the next few days, because I think that we've got a big initiative happening in Canada already, and we want to make sure that we're tapped into it.
Okay, fantastic.
Great. Then here we have a question from Apaja, who asks if it is possible to get financial support for those initiatives who need it and can sustain themselves.
We don't have a specific fund that's available for My World partners. It's partly because we're very centralized and our partners are all over the world. But we do encourage our partners to go out and approach other sponsors for funds. A lot of people have done this successfully, especially if they're a small local group. Once they know that it's an initiative that's connected to the United Nations, people go and they approach others in their community who may be willing to fund it. It could be private sector, it could be another larger organization, or just to try to find ways to avoid spending funds, to get some in-kind donations if somebody will offer their space for an event, or maybe somebody will offer some printing for free. These are the kinds of costs that are usually associated with the campaign if you have to print ballots or maybe print some signage. These sometimes can be done by a donation, and then you can, one of the things you can do is you can offer to, if the partner has supported your campaign quite significantly, you can offer to put their logo on the My World ballot, and we don't have any problem with that. Intentionally, the My World logo does not include the United Nations in the logo, and this means that it has a level of freedom. My World is a global survey. It's backed by the UN, but it's for partners to deliver, and that leaves this ownership a little bit more open to putting the My World logo next to all kinds of logos. So, I mean, use it judiciously and wisely, and only for the intended purposes. But also, you can offer that to partners.
Okay, then we have a question from India, from Harpreet, and the question is, when you complete a survey, there's no submit button. Why?
There is a submit button. I don't. You have to complete, by the way. So, good question. So once you answer the two questions, do you know about the SDGs and which 6 are most important to you? There's a third thing to do, which is rating. You rate whether you think that got improved or not. The moment you rated the 6th goal, there is a pop-up that pops up. I can quickly show you actually. If you still can see my screen, I'll switch to English. And I'll do the survey really quickly. See, I'm selecting the goals first. And then I will go back and rate these goals. The moment I rate the 6th question, this should pop up, which is asking some demographic information about the user. Again, we are not asking anything that can be tracked back to the user, but the submit button is right here. And that's why you don't see the submit button on the master survey. Again, this is designed this way on a mobile device. This will actually look like an app, which gives you the submit button.
Okay, then another question from Juan, who has asked, how long does it take for the votes to appear on the My Partner page?
The votes, the visualizations, we refresh every day. So once you've done a campaign or something, it might take a day for the visualizations to pick up your votes. But now with this download your data feature, you can immediately, after 15 minutes, you visualized, it will take a day. A working day, that is. Like, don't expect that on a weekend because we have to manually refresh at this point.
Okay, then we have another question from Olivier, who is offline by now, but he might be watching the recording later. The question was, how many copies of the survey should we submit to you as a feedback? And in case we have more than expected, should we compile the result or should we scan them all?
I think Olivier is talking about offline votes in this case. And so we have a template, again the site, remember about.myworld 2030, under resources there's a template to put your votes in. So there's no limit. I understand it is a little bit of an issue to type, say for example if you have this on a card, to type it back into Excel. But if you type it back, if you can do that and send it back to us, that will be the easiest. Send it to support@sdgactioncampaign.org and we'll put it in the master table, master database. Also, I want to tell that we are trying to work with Google to see if there's a possibility for you to, instead of typing, taking a picture of that card and it automatically recognizes the submission.
Okay, then we currently have one last question in our chat. So if you have anything else you want to know, now is the chance to make notice of that. So far the last question is again from Olivier. He is again talking about the SDG in Action app. He means he is uploading currently some of the actions they do in there. Mm-hmm. I assume the question is if there is a connection to our effort and if we see this.
It's a good point to discuss with the people who are doing the SDG Action app to recognize bringing in certain number of votes as an action on SDGs.
I think it is a very good point, and we haven't been sufficiently connected with that initiative. And you know, at the same time, we're asking people to send us information about their SDG advocacy efforts, and so it is at this point more or less a parallel track. So. I will follow up on that, including with our communications team, because they are very interested in capturing some of what's going on out there with partners in terms of promoting the SDGs. And so we'll look at how we can better link with the app.
Great. Then another question has popped in from Roger, who asked about the Human of My World photo storytelling. He wants to know if we can create our own Facebook page or only collect the photo stories and then send them as an email.
Hala, do you want to answer that one? You've been working a lot on Humans in My World.
Yeah, sure, but it's like... Hello, it's me again. Okay, like you can edit any stories, but even from normal people, and like which can support Human of My World, and by using it, by voting on the survey, and also like the other board, we have a lot of people who really want to make a change, and they are really like they're hoping for the change, so they can edit a lot of information which is coming from the other board, and they can see if it's like if they want a good education or about the health care sector or the water, which we have on, especially in the Middle East, it's a big issue. So it depends even, but can be from specific people, can be from normal people. It's open to everyone.
Yes, absolutely. So that is the objective, is to capture stories from ordinary people to relate their lives to the Sustainable Development Goals. And specifically regarding the platform, we have developed or started an Instagram page where people can upload their photos a little bit more easily, so that we can be sharing the photos and also the text that goes along with those photos. Often the challenge with this, the hardest part of the job really is editing and choosing what are the most powerful statements within maybe a 10-minute interview that you have with somebody, or 5 minutes, to choose exactly what to say from that. It's a challenging editing process, but we put some of that creative effort on your shoulders and some on ours. On our communication side, we usually try to do the editing together. But I would suggest, if you are planning to do a Humans in My World campaign, tell us, and then one of the colleagues from the communications team will get in touch with you with we have the toolkit, which you can download from our website, the SDG Action Campaign, sdgactioncampaign.org. And there you can find the toolkit with more instructions for doing a Humans in My World, but you should also just let us know so that you make sure that you're putting your content in the right place.
Great. Also, I assume this will also be part of the webinar, which will be held by our communications team, so the next in our series. It seems that none of you has any further questions, so I think this is the point where we thank you all for being here and listening to us, and yeah, thanks for the great work.
Thank you. And our support email address, once again, is support@sdgactioncampaign.org. So if you forgot to ask something here, please feel free to send an email and we'll reply to you immediately, hopefully.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Pleasure talking to you. Bye.